This is John Dollar of Prayer Builders in Winona, Minnesota. Today we are at 1 Thessalonians and we are in chapter 2 and at verse 18. It says, "Therefore we wanted to come to you, even I, Paul, time and again, but Satan hindered us." Now, I wanted you to see something here. Paul was saying, he didn't just say we. Paul had a connection with this church, and he was wanting so much to get back to them. He was wanting to connect with them, and he was wanting to, and I can even give you a glimpse of what he was wanting to do. In chapter 3 and at verse 10, he said, we are night and day. This is 1 Thessalonians 3:10, night and day we are praying exceedingly that we may see your face and perfect that which is lacking in your faith. Paul was wanting to get to them. He had a heart to get to them, to persuade them. I mean, whenever you see the word faith, think persuasion. Think being persuaded. He was wanting to get with them. Paul was wanting, and it said back there in verse 18, he says, "I have been wanting to come to you. The desire has arisen again and again and again. Time and again, I have been wanting to come to you." But what was happening? Satan was doing all he could. See, the devil is constantly at war with trying to shut down anything that will strengthen the church and be a strength and an encouragement in the church. The devil is trying to shut the church down in every way and isolate us from each other. He's trying to do this. That is what was happening here. That was a work of the devil. And Paul, if you go back there and read, like in chapter 17, you can literally see what had happened. You can see what took place. And literally, it was the protecting power of God that kept Paul in Athens. It actually says that in verse 3, or chapter 3 and at verse 1, it says, "When we could no longer endure it, we thought it good to be left in Athens alone." And that's what happened back there in Acts chapter 17. The devil was hindering Paul, trying to stop him from getting back. He didn't want him to go back into those towns. He didn't want any of what Paul did to stick, but it still stuck. And how did it happen? Paul, from a distance, was praying and believing for them. And then he would send others. But he couldn't just go in because he was like this big target. Paul was more like one of the celebrities in the church. I mean, him and Peter, they were pretty outstanding as far as their names went and their recognition. And he'd send others with some of his messages or letters, just as he did here. Now he couldn't end up going here when he wrote this letter, but this letter got sent to them, telling them, and God gave him all this revelation that was what they needed. So anyway, I hope this was a blessing to you. We will be back tomorrow with the next verse, and I just want to remind you, Jesus is coming back.